part of the reason why we're not growing is because we don't know about these opportunities or we self-select out. Let's not miss this one this time, guys. And we're back. Welcome to the latest episode of Commerce and Chill. I am Jessica Johnson Cope.
I'm Waleed.
Hi, Waleed.
What's up?
What's going on?
Nothing.
Do you need to answer that?
I don't know who this is. I don't know the number, so I'm just going to let it slide for now. Hopefully they leave a voicemail and I'll follow up with them.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Well, I got to focus on Commerce and Chill right now.
Well, today we're going to focus on the commerce part of Commerce and Chill. Just last night, we know we're not doing this in real time. For some of you, you're going to see it on delay. The U.S. House of Representative Democrats cleared a path toward passing $3.5 trillion budget bill and infrastructure plan. That is commerce opportunity for me, for you, and for you. And so today we wanted to talk about infrastructure business opportunities. With the Senate passing a $1 trillion infrastructure bill, and now the House preparing to move forward with its infrastructure and budget bill, what does that mean for you and your business? So we're going to give you a couple of tips and some things to think about in terms of how you can adapt your business structure, and how you can take advantage of these new economic opportunities. Any thoughts, Chief, as we get started?
Nope. Let's just figure out how to get a piece of the pie.
Right. So there's some people out there that might be saying, what is infrastructure, right? It's a lot of letters, lots of syllables, and you hear talk about it all the time. And that's part of the debate has been, what does true infrastructure mean? So, you know me, I went to the dictionary to look up what infrastructure meant. And according to Merriam-Webster, infrastructure is the system of public works of a country, state, or region, also the resources such as personnel, buildings, or equipment required for an activity.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Webster.
In other words, we need the elements of infrastructure in order to make society go. So if I were to look out my window to think what infrastructure means for us here in the Bronx or in Brooklyn, that would include the roads, the bridges and tunnels, public transportation. That would include our water systems, our electrical grid. I would even say broadband is necessary. So broadband and internet access would be part of infrastructure. Chief, when I talk to you about infrastructure, what comes to mind for you?
Well, you named everything. What the heck else do you want me to say? You name water, you name the electric grid, roads, bridges.
So let me
broadband.
Let me put it to you another way. If you don't have strong infrastructure elements, how does that impact you in operating the soapbox? Give me like 3 examples of how a busted infrastructure negatively impacts.
If you're going to use broadband example, when the internet goes down at the store because Verizon is doing work out on the poles and they don't tell us, and whatever the case might be, it kind of screws us up because our POS system, our phones, they're all voice over IP. Our POS system, I mean, it can work without it, but we're not pulling data real time from all our people out in the field doing pickups, doing deliveries. You know, our new partnership that we have for on-demand pickup and delivery. So we can't access that information when our infrastructure is down, AKA broadband. Shout out to Verizon. Can you hear me now?
Or even if the roads are in disrepair, that means it takes longer for the drivers to get from one point to another.
It's more wear and tear on the vehicles. There's repairs, like, car gets one of the vehicles, hits a pothole, gets a flat tire, and then we got to send somebody else to go meet them to get the stuff, and then they got to wait for the tow truck or repair guy, et cetera, et cetera. So it all has an effect. But too, at the end of the day, I'm just like, stuff going to happen.
Right.
We need to figure out, I'm not saying like we shouldn't have a good infrastructure, but I kind of look at it like, yeah, those things should be addressed. They need to be taken care of. But at the same time, I'm like, if stuff goes whatever, I'm going to do, there's a pothole. Okay, hey guys, either drive around it when you go down that block, use Waze. Everybody make sure you put the information in Waze to share it with the other people on Waze so everybody know there's a big pothole. Or you know what, share it with the team in the morning briefing, or put it in our apps where everybody reads the data. Don't go down that street.
So if I can kind of pull out of you some of the things that we've talked about off air, and then what you just said, that infrastructure does play a part in the business. It does have an impact. It can have a positive or a negative impact.
Totally.
When it comes to infrastructure elements, you don't give it a lot of extra thought. So as you hear about the proposed infrastructure bill in the news, it's not something that gets a lot of your attention. Yes or no?
It gets some. I think it's an opportunity for businesses. And when I say business, I'm talking SMBs, because I'm just making this number up so nobody get on my case about it. But like 8 out of 10 times, a lot of that work is going to go to bigger firms. The question is, how do SMBs get involved to either do some of that work as a prime, and I don't even want to seem like I'm sitting here crying and talking about the system is broken. Like, truth be told, I don't give a I'm just like, how do we do what we need to do to get ours? Like all these conversations like, oh, you need a seat at the table, buy your own table, bring your own. Yeah, I get it. Like, I hear you. I'm down for. I'm just like, let's just get done. Like, and I'm not saying none of that stuff is valid. So I'm not saying it's not valid. There are a lot of valid points. It's just so much, and there's so much, you get bombarded with so much. Mm-hmm. And I think we tend not to focus on a few things and do those things well and accomplish those and then move on to next. You start getting distracted and pulled away. And then the amount of energy and effect you can have gets lessened because you start getting your attention drawn to different things. So I'm not saying, your question, it doesn't give it. I think about it. I hear it about the news, and I'm like, that's a huge opportunity for businesses of all sizes. I'm just, how can SMBs get more involved? And how do they get in touch, or how do they get a piece? I don't even want to say a piece because it sounds like you're taking something, but how do they get involved?
How do they position themselves?
Just how do they get involved so they could capitalize off this, whatever, $1 trillion, that's some of that money can go into their business. Because if they're not able to be a prime on it, or they're not able to do the work directly, if you're not familiar with what a prime is, then how do they become a sub? Because let's be clear, a lot of these big contracting firms, when they do the project, like we work on several big contracting and small ones, and let's not be fooled. They are not doing this work 100% themselves. They sub out a hell of a lot of the work.
In many cases, the contracts will allow them to sub out up to 45% of the work.
But not even speaking about the contract, a lot of times, I'm not even talking about if there's a goal or they say they have to sub out the work.
Right, but without goals. I've read it in the contracts where it says you have to self-perform at least 55%.
Right, and they sub out a hell of a lot of it to all these different firms because a lot of times, like,
they focus on what their area expertise is.
And they don't have the manpower if they're doing 30, 40 projects all over the United States or whatever case, and these are huge projects, like we talking, hundreds of millions of dollars, that's a lot of manpower. Mm-hmm. So to get the manpower, you get other people involved. Oh, you're going to do the electrical. You do low voltage, right? Shout out to Bill Diaz. You do low voltage, right? You do the masonry work,
right?
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's bringing in other people to get it done. And then you're like, a lot of times when you hear them on the projects when they're the project managers.
Right. The construction managers.
Right.
So just for all transparency, back in 2009, after Obama had mentioned that he was going to have this, the Recovery Act, right? And was going to put all this money into rebuilding the United States. Johnson Security got certified as a DBE, a disadvantaged business enterprise, because I had a conversation with Jorge Mercado.
Why do some of these titles seem so negative? Like, why couldn't they come up with a better name? Disadvantaged business certification.
That's all right.
I get it, but I'm saying it ain't all right. Like, disadvantage. Why couldn't it be up and coming advantage?
Well, that's a conversation to have with the agency.
I'm just putting it out there,
for the people in Commerce and Chill Land that are trying to take something away.
Take something away to it, because if you say, "Oh, I got the certification of a DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise," we talk about positive and negative. You starting out with a title that says, "I'm disadvantaged. Please give me something."
No, that's not what we're saying.
But the title says disadvantaged business enterprise versus if you're an MWBE, minority or woman owned,
I'm going to call a spade
Minority
a spade.
woman
We
business
are
at all.
disadvantaged compared to the large corporations that always get all the opportunities. We are disadvantaged compared
but I'm saying,
to the big guys.
Why give it that negative connotation?
I'm not going to focus on
but anyway,
that. I'm going
finish
to
what you're
focus on the
saying.
money part of it, the capitalize. So Johnson Security got the certification because my friend Jorge Mercado at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey said, Jess, you got to follow the money. And they're going to put a lot of money into transportation projects. And since we got that certification, we've leveraged the certification to work on now 2 bridges. We've worked on a major rail project, and we've also worked on some other transportation related work because the DBE program is overseen by the U.S. Department of Transportation, and each state has its own program under the umbrella.
So
of
how
the
do
US
small
Department.
businesses, as Jorge told you, to
Can
follow the money?
So wait, I was going to finish giving the example, and then I'm going to give my tips.
Well, I'm trying to get right to it. How do small businesses follow the money like you
Here
did?
are my 4 tips for you to position yourself and your business to take advantage of the infrastructure bill in the coming months. Number 1, register with the SBTRC. That stands for the Small Business Transportation Resource Center, and it's funded through the U.S. Department of Transportation. And the primary goal of the SBTRC is to help small businesses get contracts on transportation-related projects. And many of the infrastructure projects will be transportation related. They have regional offices that have money to pay for through tax dollars, your tax dollars, my tax dollars. Let's get a return on our investment to help you get those contracts. In addition to helping you get contracts, they can help you get this certification, whatever you want to call it, this certification. Because what I often hear when I'm talking to the people at the agency is, we set aside this much money because it's federally funded project. We have to meet a DBE goal. And the DBE goals can range anywhere from 3 to 17%. And the reason they have to lower the goal is because they can't find enough certified firms that can provide the services. So I'm going to raise my hand all day, every day when they say they need a DBE firm, because I'm going to help that agency or the prime contractor get closer to meeting the goal because I'm going to show up. I need you to show up. And the way to show up is to get the certification. SBTRC can help you get the certification. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, take out a piece of paper, look out your window, and write down all of the infrastructure systems located around your business and where you live. Cope and I gave you a couple examples of what's located around us, but look at specifics. What are the agencies? What's the transportation agency where you work and live? What's the water agency where you work and live? What's the power energy agency where you work and live? Take note of those organizations and make sure that you are on their radar and they are on your radar. Number 3, partner with other small businesses.
Finger thing you just gave me.
That offer complementary products and services. You mentioned our friend Bill Diaz at ESC, Eastern Standard Cabling. What's up, Bill? Bill is a low voltage service provider. He helps hook up your intercoms, your phone systems, and things like that. He also helps to hook up CCTV systems. So when we're looking at potential opportunities, say they want to build a new Metro North station in the Bronx. Oh, wait, no, I think they're building 3 or 4 new Metro North stations in the Bronx. Well, they're going to want to have CCTV systems so they can monitor the trains as they're coming in the stations, make sure that the train drivers are safe, and then be able to reflect on that footage. In addition to needing guard services, right? Because we work with that agency. We provide them guard services, right?
Absolutely.
So if Bill and I get together, we can talk about and plot out what we think the opportunities will be and how we can work together. Because when we present our capabilities as one team as opposed to individually, we provide a better capability, a better capacity to be able to do the services that the agency is going to need. And then number 4, contact the agencies and large prime companies who are talking about these upcoming infrastructure projects. I just Googled infrastructure contracts, and it gave me a list of different agencies that are going to have contracting opportunities. It gave me the names of the major construction firms that are going to be bidding on infrastructure projects. And trust and believe, they've already started putting together their teams, and they're going to be looking for capable small to medium-sized businesses that can provide subcontracts. And you'd be surprised. They need everything from food services, right? Because the construction workers, they eat breakfast and lunch on site. So if you have a food truck, if you have a lemonade stand, you could potentially get a contract to put your lemonade stand at this infrastructure project work site.
I think you pretty much dropped the mic. Like, what is there to say after those 4 tips? I'm just like, call her.
This is the thing, right? We talk about this all the time. And it's kind of an overflow of the discussion of how do we get Black businesses past the 2.5.
2.5. Please don't bring that up again. My blood pressure just went down from that episode. If you only have one, let's figure out how to increase that so you can build a path, not just for yourself, but for others on your team. So you go from a business of 1 to a business of 10, and then your revenues, not just gross, but net revenues, we want to increase along with that increase of team members.
Part of the reason why we're not growing is because we don't know about these opportunities, or we self-select out. Let's not miss this one this time, guys. When I look at some of the most successful Black businesses in the United States, they're not getting wealthy off of entertainment. They're not getting wealthy off of sports. Many of the most successful Black businesses in this country have grown and been able to scale through government contracting. So these infrastructure projects will be government contracts. I don't want you to miss these government contracts. And very recently, there was an op-ed piece that was posted in Barron's.com that was written by Ursula Burns. You know, she's my mentor and my head, former CEO of Xerox.
But you met with her before, haven't you?
I have met her.
Yes.
You
met, not just
I met
her.
With her.
I
did. I drove to her office in Connecticut. We had a nice conversation, a nice long conversation. She's brilliant. I love her. But nonetheless, you can get a mentor in your head. You can have her too if you want. Robert F. Smith from Vista Equity Partners, who gifted the students at Morehouse and paid off all their debt. John Rogers from Ariel Capital Management, he's one of the co-CEOs there, and David Clooney from the American Black, and y'all can help me out with the name of his organization. But they co-authored a op-ed piece, opinion education piece that was featured in Barron's, making the case for why the federal government really needs to increase the number of contracting opportunities, the percentage of contracting opportunities for Blacks. And it would be sad to have these major business leaders advocate for us and then we not show up. So here's just a snippet of what they said. Raising the federal target for Black firms for contracting to 13% and diversifying the type of businesses the federal government and its largest contractors work with to include more high-margin professional services industries would have a multiplier effect of enabling Black businesses to grow their operations to scale, hire more Black employees, invest in other Black entrepreneurs, strengthen Black philanthropy, and ultimately create more generational Black wealth. We've seen the statistics that say Black wealth is on the decline, and it will probably be negative in less than 30 years.
That's crazy.
We can either talk about it or be about it. And so if we in our businesses have found success working on infrastructure related projects, we're not talking to you from the side of our necks. We're talking about what we know and ways that we've leveraged our certifications and access to contracting opportunities to grow our business that we want you to take advantage of as well. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this infrastructure bill, what opportunities it might create, and giving you the information that you need so that you can get on board.
Word. And that's today's episode of Commerce and Trail Infrastructure. No, I mean, what you're saying is valid and is fact, but you know me, I'm always from the perspective of we could talk about it all day long. Mm-hmm. We could get the information. Mm-hmm. If people don't act on it and do it, it becomes a waste. It goes to someone else. We don't capitalize on it. And again, you went there, the 2.5 million and the 2.6 that we talked about before, there's only 100,000 black owned businesses
in the United
that have
States.
more than one employee. And to me, I get it. Like, and we're not talking about the gig economy either. We're talking about individuals who have incorporated and they have a business. They have a legal entity as a business and they only have one employee. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, that number is really high. Mm-hmm. 2.5 million mm-hmm. out of 2.6 million have only one employee. And probably their sole proprietorship. But so to me, it's just like that number being so big, and I would like to see some other stats. I almost feel like it's this failure to launch mm-hmm. type of thing going. It's this failure to launch thing going on where we're starting it and we're like, oh, it's cool, it's great, and then it kind of just fizzles mm-hmm. and it just doesn't grow to the next level.
Right.
And listen, some of them, they're not meant to go to the next level because the person incorporated for whatever, like they're doing this little side thing and they want to have the legal protection. They want to have an entity, taxes, etc. Like 100%, I agree. I support you. But there's got to be, I don't know, within that 2.5, 50%, 40%, 30%, maybe even 20% that have the potential to grow to be, a 50-person company, a 10-person company, 1,000-person company. And then we're just not doing what needs to be done in that 20, 30, 40, whatever the number is. Right. And I don't want that to be the case here with this, this infrastructure. And it seems like it's a repetitive conversation, a repetitive theme that goes on where these opportunities come around and we don't take it. I don't even want to say we miss out on them. We don't take advantage of them. We don't participate in them. And you brought up a great point. We self-select out. And it's a conversation we've had in the office numerous times with our team members when it comes to hiring and onboarding new team members, where we decide to self-select out for them based on whatever picture we decide to pay. Oh, that person wouldn't want to work that at that time, right. Or they wouldn't want to work in Brooklyn. They wouldn't want to work here, or they would. And then we come back and be like, based on what? Well, I think they don't want to work this because. But did they tell you they wouldn't do it? No. Did you ask them? No. So, listen, yesterday on the webinar.
Shout out to Sense.
Jordan, Alex, yeah. Ariana.
Let me introduce you to Waleed Cope, and he's the operator of the Soapbox. He's an experienced entrepreneur, investor, small business advisor. He runs multiple New York-based businesses, advises entrepreneurs and small business owners on operations, culture, growth, navigating success. As the owner of the Soapbox. Waleed, can you tell us a little bit about, how are you, who has an established pickup and delivery business, how are you utilizing gig economy, to, I guess, maybe supplement your pickup and delivery?
I don't truly believe at all one replaces the other. One complements the other. And if you're running your business in a way that you're looking, let's say, to grow your business, and whether you want to grow it a little bit or a lot, you need different tools in your toolkit to optimize that business, to grow it, to make it more efficient, to make it more lean. Because let's all be clear here. We all know what the margins are like in the laundry business. And there's very little room for error. We had a webinar yesterday about the laundry industry, how to incorporate the gig economy into your business. There's ways to expand the business too without always having to hire people immediately. But we talked about it yesterday, and Ariana and I, who's the owner of Laundry, right? It's fancy. Laundromat out in California. And we both talked about doing pickup and delivery. Like, we both did not do it in the beginning. And we both had these preconceived notions like, oh, it's kind of going to be hard, or the logistics, it's going to be challenging, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're both doing it now. And then we like, she laughed and I laughed when we were talking about it. And I was like, now that we're doing it, we look back, it's not as hard or as challenging as we thought it would be. It's sometimes you just got to get involved in it. And I say that to say with these, like, people are like, oh, the contract is too big, or I could never do. You don't know until you try. Right. There are plenty of vegetables that I did not eat before. I was like, oh, that's nasty. Like, look at it. It probably didn't taste it. Then I tasted it and was like, damn, I've been missing out for this all. Sir? Right. I've been missing out on this for a long time. Like you're making these assumptions before you even taste it.
Right.
Go out there, taste it, get involved, talk to some primes. Yeah, I don't know if I really want to get involved in construction projects, this, that. For what reasons? Because you heard somebody else tell you who's not winning? You heard somebody else tell you who has a business that's doing less money than you are, or somebody else who's not even in business and you taking advice from them and they not in business? Like, think about that. So you should be going to try it on your own. Yeah, I get it. It's your friends, it's your family, or people in your circle, and they have this influence on you. But let's be real. At the end of the day, when you go to sleep, when this game is over and you're like 99 years old and you sit there and you reflect back, they're not going to be the ones sitting there with you. They're not going to be the ones that's inside your head trying to be like, regret, regret, regret. They're not going to help you deal with that. So you need to go out there and try that now for your business. Yeah, Waleed, the infrastructure project, that thing is huge. You know what? So maybe you don't have to try and do 100% of it. Maybe you could do 10%. Oh, Waleed, I only have a little food business. I don't see there's anything I can get involved in that. Johnson said it earlier, right? These people got to eat at these sites. And we do work at construction sites.
They stay eating.
They stay eating snacks.
They don't have Miss Meal Colic at all.
Zero Miss Meal Colic there. They stay eating snacks.
Yeah.
They take a break in the morning. I see them coffee sitting out on the thing doing this. Lunchtime come. They like this, whatever. Everybody goes.
It's like the Flintstones.
Yes, they go eat lunch. Then they come back to work. And then they take another break before they go home. I'm like, that is an opportunity.
Well, let me put it in perspective and give you some numbers to help you understand what the breakdown is supposed to be for the infrastructure bill. They're saying that it'll be approximately $110 billion with a B for roads and bridges, $73 billion for electric grid and power infrastructure, $66 billion for passenger and freight rail, $65 billion for broadband investment, $55 billion for water systems and infrastructure, $50 billion for Western water shortage, $39 billion for public transportation, $25 billion for airports, $21 billion for environmental remediation projects, $17 billion for ports and waterways, $15 billion for electric vehicles, and $11 billion for road safety.
And honestly, those numbers seem kind of low to me.
But two things stand out to me. Most of us are going to use these systems anyway, every single day. Number two, Black communities, communities of color, and poor communities typically have less access to these systems or poorer access to these systems. So why would we not be involved in making it better for our own communities and at the same time reap the financial benefits? And so as people of color who own businesses, let's take back what we can get. We're not asking for handouts. We're not begging for a free gift. We are stepping up and saying this is what we're capable of, and we want to be a part of this investment in changing the trajectory not only of our communities but of our countries as we build back and build back stronger. If you haven't already, subscribe.
We're also on Instagram now.
Like.
We're also on LinkedIn.
Share.
We're also on Twitter.
Leave comments, leave questions, and we'll get back at you this time next week.
Yep. Topics, questions, put them out there on any of those platforms. We're watching and monitoring them all so we can answer those questions during Commerce and Chill. We appreciate it.
Now we got to get back to work so we can get our own infrastructure contracts. It's been great visiting with you. I'm Jessica Johnson Coe.
I'm Waleed.
See you soon.